You are listening to the Mom to Mom podcast, hosted by Stephanie Sinclair, founder and owner of How to Mom. This podcast is meant to empower women and bring the community together through storytelling and education. During these episodes, you will hear stories of triumph, heartache, and hope. You will hear time-tested tips and tricks shared by mamas and women. You will hear a variety of birth stories that will resonate with all birthing families, advice from professionals who have dedicated their teachings to pregnancy, birth, and moms. Here, you will find encouragement, support, and community, because we are your community, and we are so happy to have you. Now, on to today's episode. Hi, I hope everybody is having a great day. I'm so excited for all of our listeners to be on today's episode to hear another beautiful, amazing, empowering birth story. And I am so excited because I am actually hearing this birth story for the first time kind of in detail as well. So I am excited to welcome back not only a really great friend, but also a team member on the How to Mom team. Miss Nikki, who is a birth doula with our team. She is a wife and a mom of two girls who I love dearly, think so highly of, and get the joy of being in their lives and seeing them grow. So please help me in welcoming Nikki back to share her second birth story. Hey, girlfriend.
Hello. Thank you. That was a nice little introduction. Appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, of course. We just kind of had a little stressful technology situation because we like to keep it real here at How to Mom. I was sweating and stressing, but we're here. And I want to remind all of you that Nikki was gracious enough to share her birth story of her oldest daughter, Lola, on a previous episode that we will share in the show notes below so that you guys can hear her first birth story as a first-time mom. But today, Nikki is going to share the birth story of her second daughter, Vivienne. And I think what will be so interesting is not only to hear kind of how every birth is unique and different, but also now Nikki's going into this birth as somebody who has experienced birth, not a first-time mom, a second-time mom, and kind of how that played a role in kind of your preparation and Vivienne's birth journey. So I'm going to just let you take it away, Nikki, and share with our listeners kind of what that birth story looked like, some moments that stick in your mind as being really valuable during that empowering story, but also things that like you'll never forget. Because we often say birth is something that you will never forget, but you can't quite remember. However, for us moms, there's always a couple things that stick out that like we will never, ever forget. So thanks for being here. And I'm so excited to hear this story.
Thank you. Yeah, you're so right. I think even thinking about back to the birth of Vivienne, I don't really remember until I sit down and like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh my gosh, that happened. So yeah, no, I'm happy to share my story of Vivienne. So I went with the same doula. So the same doula that I had for Lola's birth, her name was Carrie, and I knew immediately I wanted her for my second birth as well. So, that felt really good and familiar and really comfortable. So in full transparency and being real here at How to Mom, I will be honest in case anyone else out there is feeling the same way or challenged and feeling that it's not as magical or anything like that. I will tell you that leading up to the last few weeks of my pregnancy, I was full of anxiety. I was very scared. I was very nervous. Um, I did have an unmedicated water birth with my oldest daughter, Lola. That was the plan for this one as well. But I I don't remember the specific feelings of pain. I just remember thinking about, I know what it feels like now, and that scares me.
That's what I was just going to ask. I think a lot of second, third, fourth time moms Now all of a sudden it's empowering in the sense of we kind of know what to expect. We're not going into this unexpected land. However, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like you remember what that was and what that felt like. And so then that is kind of a new territory that we have to handle as repeat moms birthing because we're like, oh yeah, I remember how that was.
Yes, that's exactly what it was for me. So then I thought a little bit more actually with this one, with this birth, more about my backup plan. And if I just couldn't do it, because again, all of the things were swirling through my head, like everyone tells you all these things like, oh, with your second, your third, your fourth, like it goes so much faster, or oh, it's so easy. You already know how to do it, your body memory, blah, blah, blah. So I I felt that a lot. I felt that anxiety and the pressure and everyone telling me all these things. And so turning that off was really hard for me. And so if anyone else out there is feeling that same feeling, you're not alone. I promise you, even people are saying it. I promise you they're thinking it too. So don't feel alone in your feelings that way. But that being said, again, with my doula, having her as birth support and having like sharing all of that information with her was huge for me in my success and getting through everything. So,
And just being able to have somebody safe to
yes,
share that with and to like give them that worry. I say that to our clients a lot, right? Like, let me carry that worry. I don't want you to carry that. Give it to me. And I
yes,
think sometimes just feeling like you can express it and like say it out loud
yes,
somehow helps.
yes, that's such a good point. Yeah, so she did carried my
Yes,
worry
I love
for
it.
me. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I was due on July 8th, actually, which was my oldest daughter's actual birth date.
Okay.
And so I knew they were close together. I knew they were going to be really close together.
Yeah.
And but the morning of July 1st, early in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, started to feel, that familiar feeling of early labor. And called my doula and I said, this is kind of what's going on. I'm probably just going to stay home from work today. Like, I don't know, even if it turns out to be nothing, I just want to rest. And so I got in and out of the bathtub a couple of times, and that seemed, that would relax me, so the contractions would stop. But I was keeping track. But July 1st happens to be one of my oldest friends' birthdays from my childhood in high school, and we're still friends to this day. And so
Sweet.
it's funny because one of like the multiple times I was in the tub, the water had helped me relax and then the contractions had stopped. Well, this time I was in the tub and I was trying to relax. I'm like, okay, this will go away. This is not happening
Yeah.
today. I know that. And I picked up my phone to text her to wish her happy birthday.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. How are you feeling? I'm like, well, currently I'm in the tub. These contractions aren't really going away. She's like, stop it. It's the best day. Do it today. I'm like, whatever, this is
Fine.
gonna happen today. Yeah, exactly. Have another birthday. Well, yeah, little did she know that after that text, I mean, things progressed really quickly. I was very much in active labor, early stages of active labor. And so similarly to my first birth, I labored at home as much as I could, again, with the support of my doula.
Mhm.
She was really critical to my success doing that and being able to feel really comfortable at home.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't walk around outside and freak my neighbors out like the last time. I just sort of like hibernated this time. I went really insular with this.
You guys have to listen to that episode just for that. It's something really powerful that doulas can use in supporting you, but the story is quite comical and it gives a good laugh. So make sure you listen to that. But really quick, I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. I want to go back because I think something critical that you just talked about is something as doulas we mention to our clients a lot when they are experiencing contractions. They're trying to decipher, is this real labor? Are these Braxton Hicks? Am I dehydrated? Is this going to continue or is this going to stall? One of the biggest tips that we give our clients is to get in the bath, right? Like
yeah,
hydrate, drink some water, put your feet up, and potentially get in the bath.
yeah,
Now, why that is helpful is because if those contractions slow and or stop, that usually is an indicator that we have a little bit more time. Whether it eventually continues or it completely stalls for that day, what Nikki was doing, and with the help of her doula, was prioritizing rest, hydrating, and trying to relax because our uterus is a muscle, right? And so we need to figure out, is it effectively contracting to bring our baby down, or is it just contracting because of other factors? And so getting into that bathtub, relaxing her body, probably gave her time to rest additionally, maybe kind of get her mind right, text a friend, like whatever it was, it kind of calms things down. But then what's really helpful is that next time she got into the bath, she realized contractions were continuing even while in water, which then that helps us decipher and say, yeah, we're entering or we're in labor. And so it's just a really great way to try and identify. I think that's a lot of people's fears is like, how am I going to know if I'm in labor? Or how am I going to know if it's the time to go to the hospital? And so, of course, with the help of doulas, we can really help you kind of identify that. But getting into a bath, I mean, Nikki was doing all the right things to not only stay in labor at home where she felt safe and comfortable, but also to figure out like, is it today? Is it not? So sorry to interrupt, but I think that's a
No.
really great tip for our listeners to hear. All right, you guys, we are going to take a brief break from today's episode so I can tell you all about one of my favorite companies, Kindred Bravely. They design and sell the best pregnancy and postpartum bras, underwear, sleep, and loungewear. They also have one of my favorite products. It's called the Fourth Trimester Panty. This product is just wonderful because it supplies some security for your postpartum belly. And I really needed that when I was postpartum. But it also is designed and comes with some cooling pads. You can either put them in the freezer to add a little cool touch, or you can put them in the microwave to add some heat, whether you're recovering from a surgical or a vaginal birth. I literally wish I would have had this in my postpartum days, especially when I was recovering from both a vaginal and a surgical birth with my twins. One of my favorite products from them. But please feel free to go to their website, check out all of the amazing products that they offer. You can get to their site by following howtomom.com/links. Follow the Kindred Bravely link. And then at the end of shopping, you can add the promo code HowToMom15 to receive 15% off today. All right, now back to today's episode.
Yeah, super good call out. And um for me the water is really helpful for me in general anyway. Like I talked about this in the previous episode, but also just, in general, like still to today. Like I love to be in the water, it doesn't matter what it is, river, lake,
Totally.
pool, whatever. So, whatever that does for your psyche, whether it works or not, if it's placebo, like it worked for me.
Yeah,
So
I love
shout
that.
out to the water out there. Yeah, and so I labored at home, and this one it went far quicker uh than my first. So that was true for me. That was part of my birth journey the second time around.
Mhm.
But I have to say that scared me too, because mental preparedness for me, I had far more time to focus on what's next, what's coming next, and I was very much out of control. Not in a bad way, but
Right.
I
Your
felt like I
body
was.
was moving faster than your mind.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that perfectly. That's exactly what's happening. So, I could feel a little bit of a higher stress rate with this one this time going around. So, I once again was at St. Joe's in St. Paul again, RIP to that birthing center. But so got there very swiftly, quickly. They knew I wanted a water birth, so I moved around a lot more
Yeah.
this time around. Again, with the help of my doula, um, my other girlfriend, my chiropractor friend, who was there for my first birth as well. She showed up too for me, which was so amazing again to have that same team. I feel really lucky
That's
in so many
incredible.
ways, but I moved around a lot more this time. And I will say, I do believe not only just being a birth doula now, but I do believe that that actually contributed to the quickness of
Yeah.
getting really into active labor and being able to get into the birthing tub.
I bet. Well, and what's interesting too, is usually when you have labored or birthed before, you just like with anything in life, like you feel a little bit more comfortable in your skin. You feel a little bit more confident about allowing and letting your body to move in the way that it's telling you it needs to move versus I feel like a lot of first time moms, I feel like for sure for me, the contractions almost paralyzed me. I was kind of like, "Oh my gosh," and I was holding that tension and trying to like fight it. Whereas when you're comfortable and you've experienced that before, you almost kind of embrace those sensations and kind of move with them.
Yeah.
But then again, with that, right, comes being a second time mom and knowing what's coming and like what the next stage is, but also with our bodies, going, oh, I've done this before, and kind of acting quicker. Our mind is struggling to keep up with that, but this is why we preach and why it's so important. I don't care how many babies you've had, you deserve to have support from a doula because every experience is different, right? Like what you needed your doula for with your first, it's probably very different than what you needed from her with your second, but equally valuable.
Equally valuable. And I think going back to that double-edged sword that we talked about with the
Yeah.
anxiety and not, knowing what to expect, I think that actually helped me feel really strong and confident that, okay, I know that I've done this before. This is sort of where this is going. I know that all of these movements are moving my baby down. Not that I wasn't thinking about that or my doula wasn't supporting me during my first birth, but
Yeah.
now my body knew, like you
Yeah.
said, like I knew now all of this is for a greater purpose for the end game and is to have healthy baby, healthy me.
Well, it's
Um,
like when some women are able to connect more with their baby in utero the second or third time. I feel like with Mackenzie, I was like, they say there's a baby in there. I see my belly growing, but like I couldn't connect my mind and body. Whereas with my second pregnancy, I don't know. It's just something
yeah,
different happens. You've done it before, you've experienced it before. You're not like, I don't know. I think
yeah,
there's just
no,
something so true to that for
I
sure.
agree. I agree with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so you get in the tub.
Yep, we were in the tub. That went very fast. And so the first time again, I was really learning my body and same vein what we just talked about, right? Like I knew what it felt like to have my body be ready to push
Yeah.
and trusting myself instead of, well, I'm dilated this much, I should start pushing now when I didn't feel like
Mhm.
my body wasn't giving me signals to push.
Mhm.
And I didn't focus on that this time. I just focused on laboring and all of a sudden um I did feel a pop. So my water broke in the water. So that was a new sensation for me. I didn't have that my first one.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really acknowledge it. I just kept going. And I'll never forget my doula. I was on all fours in the tub and my doula was like kind of sitting on a perch up here,
Yeah.
like pulled washcloths and just like giving me strength and stuff. And I remember looking up at her and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna push now. And she's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
It was just, again, it was just so different than like,
Mhm.
okay, well, we're gonna get the midwife in here, we're gonna do this and that. Like it was very, and again, I cannot say enough about the birthing team at St. Joe's. The
Yes.
midwives and the nurses were so hands off. They let me do my thing. They let us do our thing. And when I literally said to my doula, I think I want to push, she's like, okay. And no one else was like interrupting me. I was like, okay, here I go. So I
Mm.
get, I get
She's so calm, like so calm. It's so incredible because what we see, in movies and it's like so chaotic and it's like it's actually quite the opposite. Like
yeah,
it's like this incredibly like calm experience and
yeah.
welcoming. Mhm.
So not only did I trust my body, but it felt really great to have other people in the room that allowed me to have that trust in my
Yes.
body and not tell me what I should or shouldn't be doing. So that
Yeah.
was just a
Beautiful.
huge moment that I'll never forget. So yeah, so I was on all fours this time, and that felt much better. That felt more intuitive to my body.
Yes.
And I pushed a couple of times, and my girlfriend at one point she was taking photos for me, and my girlfriend took a photo and she popped it up by me, and she's like, your baby's literally staring at you, like upside down," and it is still to this day the best picture. So Vivienne, my
Doesn't surprise me with her.
no, not at all. This is so on brand for Vivienne coming into the world, just like a little like boop, peekaboo, like there you are. And the midwife's like, yeah, do you want to like just reach down and
Oh
give
my
it one
God.
more push? And out she came. And she's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna support you from behind and go ahead and push. I'm gonna have you grab her and we're just gonna put you back on your knees."
Yeah.
And that was it. And I pushed and she like twirled and came out and I held her to my chest and I was just on my knees with her, just me and her.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I do have to ask, was she crying? Was she crying?
Yeah, sorry. That's like
No. A
super
beautiful
cool. I
moment.
haven't thought about that moment in a hot minute, and so reliving it right now is really sweet. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it was very similar, but also very different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and what is so great, like for me, obviously hearing as a doula, as your friend, first of all, just so happy that those were your experiences, like, so, so happy. Of course, wishing I could have been there. Um, but just
Yeah.
kind of what that does to somebody's confidence and belief in their body. But what sticks out even more to me when you looked up to your doula and said, "I'm ready to push," I know that you were confident in your body and what it was telling you, but almost in that moment, you were checking in to say, "This is what I'm feeling," and almost wanting confirmation. And what's so beautiful and what's so powerful about the work that we get to do as doulas is her okay, her just the simple word like okay was her verifying and saying, "I trust your body too."
Yeah.
Like, that is what I think I want people to realize the honor and what we get to do as doulas and how powerful the word okay, right? People think like, what's the big deal about that? You were looking to her and saying, I am 99.9% sure this is what I need to be doing. But look to her and she looked at you and said, okay. And that was like, not only did you believe in your body, but the people around you believed in your body. And like how impactful that is to then push your baby out, deliver and hold your baby and meet her for the first time. Like I don't think enough people hear those stories to realize the role that that plays, not only in your baby's life, but in your life. Hey guys, it's Stephanie Sinclair, founder and owner of How to Mom. I'm just interrupting today's episode to make sure you are well aware of all that How to Mom offers. We, of course, are a community and a support group for all moms at all stages of life, but we also offer a large variety of services that I wanted to make sure you are well aware of. We offer birth doula services, both in person or online support. We have birth support groups with different birth packages to choose from. We also provide placenta encapsulation services, lactation services from our lactation counselors. We also offer postpartum services, birth planning assistance, belly casting. We have a registered dietitian, nutritionist. We also offer a variety of photography services from birth, newborn, and family packages. We truly have it all here at How to Mom. So please don't hesitate to reach out today to have a free consult and help us find the best way to support you in your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journey. Now back to today's episode.
Yeah, it was super powerful. And I also can recognize that y- the fact that I was able, that I had the capability, I mean, and frankly, that they had the facility to
Yep.
give me the desired birth that I wanted, and the water birth and everything happened to work out because anyone in this world knows that if you're wanting a water birth and have a facility that will to do that and allow that, it
Yeah.
is timing. It
Yeah,
does come
for
down to
sure.
timing. It's not always
Yes.
something. So yeah, I'm just forever grateful for that experience. And
But you also had the team. You had the
yep, I had
team,
a team.
which I
Yeah,
just
I
think
had the team.
isn't always the norm. Of course,
Yeah.
we know it, especially 10 years ago.
Mhm.
We've already, come a ways. We have a lot of work to do. And so if you're listening to this right now and this was not your experience, or if this is the experience that you're desiring, or maybe it's not the experience you're desiring, that is okay too. I just think every day all, if not most of the birth doulas, especially here on the How to Mom team. And I think for sure Nikki and I can speak to this since we are here live in person. We wake up every day going, how can we help this client that we're working with currently get the experience that they deserve, whether it's the experience Nikki received and experienced, or it's a different experience. What I am so excited and happy about is that that is what you desired, and that's the support that you received. And then a step further, as a result, it was the experience that you it was the journey that you experience, so it's really powerful and it's really important, and just happen to be surrounded by the right people and in the right industry. I'm so happy, you deserved that support, and I love that you have that empowering story to share with all of our listeners so that they know that this is can be a possibility.
Yeah.
Which is pretty beautiful. So I have chills just because on top of your story being really empowering and beautiful, just knowing you and knowing Vivienne so well, it's such an honor to be able to know her birth story. And I know that she's anxious to get this published because she too wants to hear it. Um, but I have to ask, so at what time was she born? And when you met her and brought her to your chest, was she still and chill, or was she loud and proud?
She was born, I'm probably gonna get the exact time wrong because it's been a minute, but she was born at 1:25 p.m.
Okay, so yeah, it was a pretty swift experience. I'm glad you didn't go to work that day.
Yeah, probably would have wasted my time. And yeah, so I think it was like about 1:25 p.m. and then she was she was calm. I mean, she wasn't crying. I mean, we finally got her to make some noises, but
Yep. Yeah,
she didn't come out blazing or anything, which
yeah,
is very unlike her. That is not on brand for Vivienne point. And I also didn't find out the gender with her either. And so I was 100% convinced, of course, that this one was a boy. I'm like, for sure, she's a boy, 100%. And I held her for like 45 seconds, 1 minute before we checked the cord and all that stuff. And then they finally pulled her just a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so I genuinely was shocked.
yeah, that she was a girl.
They told me it was a girl both times. I had my head totally convinced it was a boy. So
Isn't that so interesting? Oh,
yeah.
I just love her. And I'm a big believer that regardless of her personality and what's on brand for Vivienne, coming into such a calm and quiet and relaxed environment plays a role in how our babies respond to that transition. So that makes a whole lot of sense, despite her vivacious personality that I just adore. Every time she's here, I'm like, you remind me of me, right? And she's like, I know.
She did ask me this morning when she gets to hear her birth story. For the record, she has been told her birth story. She's been shown photos. So
Different when it's on a podcast.
this whole idea that she has no idea what happened that day is not entirely true.
I love it. Well, it will be published sooner rather than later, so I can't wait to put it on and hear her reaction, even if she's already heard it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nikki, thank you so much for being so willing to share such raw and intimate stories so that our listeners can learn from you, can picture their birth story if it aligns and is something similar to how you birthed your babies. Just knowing that this too is possible, I think is super encouraging. And thank you for the work that you do as a birth doula. And sometimes it can be overwhelming about how are we going to continue to make change, but sometimes we just have to break it down one client at a time. And thanks for being, a part of that change and for being here today.
Absolutely. Beyond my pleasure. Thank you again for letting me share my story with everyone. And, to anyone that I get the opportunity to join your birth journey or their birth journey, I hope that you feel supported in the way that I feel supported, because that's been my biggest takeaway from both of my births is if I can make someone have that experience and feel deep down that they are trusted, they are worthy, they are acknowledged, they are heard, they are seen. That's ultimately my main goal with anyone's birth journey. So thank you for giving me the platform to be in people's lives in that capacity, and for being a wonderful mentor. And I'm just super excited to continue on.
Yes, absolutely. It's a feeling that's everlasting, as you know and have experienced. So, I'm going to let everybody know that in the show notes, not only will we link back to Lola's birth story, which I really strongly encourage you to listen to if you have not yet already. I also am going to link Nikki's bio on our website about the work that she does, how she works with clients, and how you too can work with Nikki and have her be on your birth team. So thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a beautiful day. All right, you guys, that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. If so, please subscribe to our podcast, comment, share, give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen, and we will see you next time.